The week leading up to Stacey's disappearance was a normal week. After speaking with her friends, family, and a coworker of Stacey's about that week, there was nothing that really stood out or was a major red flag. But again, nothing is as it seems in this case. There are some things we'll never know because Stacey's not here to tell us. However, it's not difficult to read between the lines, and some clues are more obvious when you really take a closer look. This is episode 2, The Last Day. Now let's go back to our puzzle analogy. Have you ever been so frustrated putting together the pieces of a puzzle that just didn't fit and had to take a break? Then you revisit it later and realize that the pieces that you needed were right next to the others all along, standing out in plain sight. All you needed to do was take a step back and look at the bigger picture on the box. That's the best way I can describe many of the aha moments I've had during the time I spent investigating Stacey's case. The answers have been there all along. They were just being missed because the focus was on the wrong pieces. The week leading up to Stacey's disappearance, she was preparing to travel for work. Despite working for AEP for only 6 months, Stacey was selected to go to New York and give a presentation on behalf of the company. This was an exciting time in her career, and she was really looking forward to the trip. That week was a completely normal week work-wise for Stacey. She even made plans to go out with friends from work on that Friday. Stacey was genuinely liked at work by everyone, and she loved her job. Her coworker Molly recounts her interactions with Stacey and what that final week was like.
I tell everyone she's a coworker you wish you could have, clone. She had a megawatt smile that just lit up a room. She was working on a big presentation when that happened. She was a hard worker. She would stay late. Like I said, she was willing to take on other responsibilities to learn, and to be helpful. She was the kind of coworker you wish you could have more of. And she was always so pleasant. She was never cranky. Some people from the company did go out that Friday. We did go out for happy hours, and that was one of them. And I didn't go.
Friday, March 20th, 1998 was like any other normal day for Stacey. She got up that morning, got ready, and went off to work. One important detail that I'm going to include here just to keep as a side note is that Stacey regularly went on early morning jogs on a path near her apartment complex. It's not known if Stacey went on a jog that morning before work, but again, just a detail to keep in the back of your mind. After work on Friday, Stacey comes home, has some downtime, and eventually meets up with some coworkers at the Arlington Cafe. Arlington Cafe is located only minutes away from Stacey's apartment complex. About 4 minutes to be exact, 1.7 miles away. It's located right off Henderson Road in Columbus in the local shopping plaza. Arlington Cafe was a popular local sports bar that Stacey frequently visited. Because it was so close to OSU, it was a popular hangout spot for students as well. That night, Stacey allegedly met up with a few coworkers and some friends. I'm going to use the term allegedly here because there is some speculation about who she was with that night. From the interviews I've conducted, it was confirmed that most of the people she was with were coworkers, including one named Wendy. Stacey arrived with Wendy, who lived in the same apartment complex as her, but did not drive home with her. According to reports and witness statements, the individual who took Stacey home that night was a male acquaintance. This is where things again get very grainy, because those that were with Stacey that night didn't want to participate in the interviews I was conducting. From reports and information, I was able to gather that there were 2 males that Stacey spoke with that night at Arlington Cafe. One was a male acquaintance that Stacey worked with and was driven home by. The other was a male acquaintance that could not officially be confirmed, at least not that I could find. So we're going to speculate here that the only one she may have been talking to, aside from the coworker who gave her a ride home, may have been another acquaintance that Stacey occasionally spent time with. Now, just to reiterate, this is complete speculation, and I have not found anything to prove this theory to be true. But you can draw your own conclusions as we continue to piece together the details of this case. For the sake of protecting the identity of this individual, considering Stacey's case is an active, open investigation, we're going to refer to this other male acquaintance, in air quotes, as Bob, since he will frequently come up in our timeline. The next day, Saturday, March 21st, 1998, was the last time anyone would ever hear from Stacey Colbert. Now, this night is somewhat hazy in detail because Stacey spent the day at home in her apartment. According to reports, Stacey had plans to go out that night and meet up with some friends. However, she reportedly wasn't feeling well and decided to stay in. She ordered some breadsticks from Papa John's at approximately 6 p.m. The driver who delivered Stacey's order that night was interviewed by police, and he stated that he suspected she might not have been alone. It's hard to say why the delivery driver would make that comment when he didn't actually see anyone in Stacey's apartment with her. Reports indicate it was just a feeling he had based on his brief encounter with her. Despite him being the last person to physically see Stacey, the driver was cleared and was never deemed a suspect in this case. The last person that we know of who spoke to Stacey that knew her was her father, Larry. It's been speculated that Larry was on the phone with Stacey when she opened the door to the delivery driver to retrieve her order. It's possible she laid down the phone to open the door and was in a hurry to get back to her phone call. This could possibly be the reason the delivery driver stated he believed she wasn't alone. But this is all speculation, of course. The next 10 hours are questionable in this timeline. No one knows for certain exactly what went on in Stacey's apartment after 6 p.m. and following her encounter with the delivery driver. But what we do know is what happens next is absolutely terrifying. Little did Stacey know this would be her last day, and the last sound that would ever come from Stacey's apartment would be the sound of her screaming. In the next episode, we dive into the day that Stacey vanished and the witness accounts of what may have been her final moments. Episode 3, The Disappearance, is available right now. Make sure to follow us on social media at Unseen Truth Podcast and visit unseentruthpodcast.com for more case information.